This is LOA Recon with Good Vibe Coach Jeanette Ma, where we explore the ins and outs of conscious creation to manifest our favorite dreams come true. Let's have some fun together. Okay, I feel so lucky right now. I just sat down to start recording and I thought, I could use a hair tie, and I didn't have one. Or did I? I asked myself, I looked at my shirt. I got a pocket in this shirt. I reached into the pocket. Ta-da! Hair tie. I feel super lucky right now. That might feel like a little thing to be celebrating, but honestly, universe doesn't know the difference between the big reasons to be happy and the little reasons to be happy, and it is a fabulous vibration to send, so I'm celebrating it. And I want to thank Danielle for starting this. She posted a thread at Good Vibe University in the forums about 7 days of getting lucky or feeling lucky. And we've been having fun posting there, so I know that's where it got activated. Definitely enjoying that. Thank you, Danielle. Okay, welcome, and thank you for tuning in for another episode. I don't know the title of this one yet, but I know what it's about. It's about perspective and our ability to choose it and the power of what we choose. This is inspired by an article I cannot stop talking about. It was a New York Times article the other day written by Edward Hirsch. Let me just tell you the title of it. I still have a tab with this open. In fact, New York Times has a paywall, but I think I can gift an article. One of the options for gifting it is to post it on Facebook. So I'll put it on Facebook. Maybe I can find a link, put it on these on this episode as well. So you can read it straight from the guy. It's so amazing. Okay, it's titled, Who Wouldn't Want to Read? Okay, that's not the title. The title was, I Am Going Blind, and I Now Find It Strangely Exhilarating. I was thinking, who wouldn't want to read that article? Okay, I read it. It's amazing. It was so amazing. So he's writing about how he's been going blind for a while, but he said he was in cheerful denial about it until it couldn't be ignored anymore. He was starting to have trouble with navigating stairs, and he said it was hazardous for people to turn a corner when he was on the move in the office. Walking in crowds, he said he was a liability. He tripped over some guy who was sprawled on the sidewalk. He stumbled into a stop sign. He said a tree branch clocked him. It turns out his mom and sister had the same eye disease that he eventually got diagnosed with. And he says it didn't have a cure. Do you like how I said he says it didn't have a cure? I like how we get to choose for ourselves about that. Anyway, he'd been, quote, avoiding the unhappy truth, end quote. But he said he couldn't ignore it anymore. Two things triggered the change. One was when he knocked over a little kid who ran right in front of him in a restaurant. And then, he accidentally bumped into a woman on a dark street corner. She was with friends, and he said she started shouting obscenities at him. And when he told people that he couldn't see them, they didn't believe me. They said, you don't look blind. Anyway, so his doctor said that he was legally blind and advised him to get certified. So his story was about how he called the Lighthouse Guild. He said it's an organization that helps people who are affected by vision loss. And he said, even just taking like a step like that can feel shameful to some people. Like there's a psychological barrier that can get in the way of doing that. What he said he learned was that first you need to publicly identify and acknowledge your disability, and then you must acknowledge to yourself and others that you need help, and finally you must be willing to accept the help that is offered. He says you have to say yes, but he said some people never make that leap. But for him, he wrote, it was a relief. He said it was a burden lifted. So after he got his diagnosis, he said, a world opened up for me. He qualified for all sorts of free services that enabled him to function more or less normally. So now he's got an advocate for the visually impaired. There's a computer specialist who helped him out. He got a cooking teacher, a cane coach. He's got a bunch of tools that make his life easier, including a seeing AI app that reads documents and describes pictures for him. And he said that he's more muscular about his disability. He said, quote, I stop other blind people to talk about cane technique. I show mine off for the sighted. Outside hotels, I ask doormen to lend me their arms. They are gents who escort me through the lobby like an aging prince. I suspected I was going to have trouble reading this to you without getting emotional. I just love this. He said, I once felt that I would rather die than go blind. Now I feel the opposite. daily life has a renewed delight and vigor. I am learning new things constantly. The most ordinary tasks, like going to the post office, have become terrifically interesting. In terms of everyday life, I feel that I am finally in there, more mindful and alert, more fully present. I love this line. He says, I have chosen curiosity over despair. He said when his disability was invisible, he just irritated people constantly. They thought he was rude or whatever, they were impatient. But he said now that he signals his disability with the cane, he finds that he's tapped a well of visible kindness. He said it's good to give people a chance to step up. And he just gives all these amazing examples of how helpful people are, even at TSA. So anyway, I just found his story to be such an inspiration about how to experience something that I think most people would acknowledge could be really difficult, to say the least. And he was doing it so differently. It reminded me of the former NFL player that I quote all the time. He played on Survivor, and he got betrayed by his best buddy in the game. It was just a brutal betrayal. And in his exit interview, his name was Grant something. In his exit interview, when everyone's normally upset and they got nothing but swear words for why they got voted off, this guy said, I have eyes for the gifts. I have eyes for the gifts. After he was betrayed, to be able to say that in the red hot moment. Look, it reminds me of that time I was walking the horses with my boyfriend in his neighborhood when we ran across, he had a neighbor it was getting to be blustery weather. It was kind of cold to be out there, and he was doing a car repair job. Chad could tell what he was working on before we even got there. He was like, that is kind of a tricky job for one guy, to do on his own. He said, it's a good job to have help. And as we got closer, we chatted with him, and the guy said how he was so glad to be doing this car repair because it had broke down on him somewhere away from home. But he got the car home and he was fixing it real quick before he needed it to go on a road trip for the weekend. And he was talking about how lucky he was that it broke down when it did and where it did so that it didn't cause a bigger problem while he was out of town. And I commented something about how I liked his story about this car repair that he's doing because he's out here in freezing weather alone he could have been telling that story very differently. And he said, every story is a good story in a good life. Oh, I loved that too. Wow. Are you feeling the power of perspective here? And it reminds me of just a little thing that happened yesterday. Oh my gosh. In fact, the reason this episode is getting published a day later than usual is because we had the most amazing winter storm yesterday. It was apocalyptic. Okay, California has had some apocalyptic storms. Wow, did we have our version here yesterday? It was amazing. And I really wanted to experience it. I wanted to be there for it. So I still did my client calls, but I didn't do anything else. When I hung up the phone, we took the dogs. Chad took the day off because driving down the canyon was such a smart call for him. I don't think he understood what a smart call that was. But wow, there were just amazing things happening all over the valley. A snowplow slipped off the road. A school bus slipped off the road. There was, one snowplow caused an avalanche in the canyon. There just accidents all over. That one canyon they finally just had to close it off because so many cars had gotten in accidents. So it's good that he did not go to work, so when I hung up the phone, we took the dogs out for a walk. We went up the road that the snowplows hadn't been on yet. You know why the snowplows hadn't been there yet? Because they were having other emergencies around town. They were not getting to normal neighborhoods. There was one house, there was a fire up the canyon, someone's cabin. They needed a snowplow to try to get the firefighters to the house. So there was a good reason the snowplow had not been to our road, and I loved it. My other neighbors weren't as much, but I loved it because we got to walk the dogs up the road, and it was just amazing. It was amazing. In fact, I made us go as far as we could because I kept saying, we might never get to experience this again. This might be one of the few times we ever get to experience this. It was just amazing. I loved it so much. So I didn't record yesterday. I got a ton of video and pictures of the dogs. It was so fun. Chad even took his truck out for fun and got stuck. He has so much pride that his truck and him drive that they can get anywhere. They were only stuck briefly. It wasn't for very long, but long enough for me to think I was gonna. He texted me that he was stuck, and I said, "What do I need to do? Bring a shovel?" And he said, "Yep." But before I could get there, he was unstuck. Anyway, can you hear me smiling about this? It was just amazing. And in the meantime, my neighbor had a very different experience of it. When she finally came out to clear her driveway, she was not having it. She was not having any of it. She was done. In fact, so many people in our local groups were just posting about how done they were. I mean, really fed up. It has been a long winter, record-breaking snow even before this. And guess what? We got more coming next week. Oh, my word. But my neighbor, she was not having my joy for this storm. In fact, she was talking about leaving town. She was more than talking about it. She was planning to leave town and not coming back until it was spring. And I was like, wow, that could be a while because we got a lot of snow that needs to melt. Anyway, I was thinking about how she's having such a different experience of it than I am. And I could genuinely, normally by this time of year, I'm like, yeah, I'm ready for some spring. But this year, I'm still here for it. I'm still loving it. I'm still enjoying it. Yes, I don't commute. Yes, Chad's cleared a lot of snow, so I haven't had to do it myself. But as I was thinking about how she's fed up, and I'm just in awe. I'm in absolute awe of what is happening up here. And she said she was just leaving to go to warmer places. I thought, vacations are cool, but there's two ways to go on vacation. One is out of resistance to where you are, and one is out of love for where you're going. I hope she gets that sorted out because I'm not sure a vacation can offer much relief if she keeps hating the snow. You know what I mean? Oh, and having said that, in that same conversation with my neighbor, guess what she did nail? Oh, so one of her chickens died, and I offered condolences, and I was feeling sad about it. And you know what she was? She was relieved that chicken wasn't suffering anymore. She said she declined quickly, and she said that with gratefulness, like that this wasn't a long, slow process. She had an appointment to get down to this was on a different day. She had an appointment to take the chicken down to go get euthanized, but she couldn't get down there because on that day, another storm had blocked both of our canyons. They both were closed, so she couldn't get to the appointment. And the chicken ended up dying. It ended up dying at home. Can you tell the way I'm saying it? I didn't tell that story with the kind of joy I have for the snow. But my neighbor, she's all she sees is blessings, 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 blessings. And as soon as she said that, I realized, I could see it too. She's right, that chicken didn't have to experience the stress of being transported to the vet and, getting put in the cat carrier for all that. So this story these stories about how Abraham said it really well when they said, every moment contains everything, and it's just a matter of what we choose to pull out of it. I could pull joy out of a snowstorm while she's pulling. Oh, she's so fed up. She could pull blessings out of her chicken died when I was being sad for her about it. It's all the possibilities are there. And really, it's our vibration that determines which ones we have access to. So I'm thinking, if I can enjoy this winter, if Grant can enjoy his survivor betrayal experience, if the guy doing the car repair in that stormy day on a tight deadline with no help, if he can be grateful, if Edward Hirsch can embrace going blind, what else is possible? What else is possible? I started thinking, oh, could I enjoy the time change twice a year? Could I look forward to taxes? Oh, actually, you know what? I think I'm doing a decent job of that. I just read a headline on something that said tax deadline looms. And my automatic thought was, well, maybe it doesn't have to loom. Oh, it sounds like someone who's getting friendly for doing taxes. I've been working on that one for a while. So, and here was another example. I got a text from Dad today. So I've been changing up my Wordle game. I've been playing speed Wordle instead of, try to minimize the number of tries it takes to guess the word, because that one, I got a little frustrated when I broke my streak on like day 101. I think I had a 100-day streak and I broke it, and I did not have joy for that. And I didn't have joy that I didn't have joy for that, because I realized my attachment to my streak was ruining my enjoyment of the game. So I took a break for a while. And then when I picked it up, I thought, I got to find a different way to play, because I play for fun. And I don't play for a streak. But, sometimes that's what technology does. It kind of hooks us. Anyway, I just thought I know how to have more fun. So I played in a different way, and it's speed Wordle, like how quickly can I get the words? I don't care how many tries it takes. So I do it in a lot more tries. Anyway, when Dad and I were texting each other about it today, I told him it was 6 tries today in under a minute. And he said, well, that was close. And I said, well, I was almost shooting for not getting it because I wanted to break my streak, because I almost didn't play, as a matter of fact, because I wanted to break my streak just so that I don't get attached to it again. And when he replied back, he said that the next time we don't get it in 6, we should just say we got it in 7. Instead of saying I didn't get it, or it was a bust, or whatever else would indicate failure, he said we'll just say we got it in 7. I like that so much. I like that so much. Little perspective shifts. Instead of I'm going blind, it's a whole new world opened up for me. Because every moment contains everything, and it really is just a matter of what we choose to pull out of it. Edward got curious instead of despairing. How cool is that? In fact, speaking of whole new worlds opening up, do I have time to tell you an update? Okay, I'll tell it quickly, because I don't like long episodes. When I last left you, I believe it was our last episode with the horses. Oh, gosh, I love what's happening there. Okay. So where I last left you with it, they were moved to indoor stalls until the horse owner could find pasture to rent. And I was celebrating that, my ability to find my way to the vision of what I wanted, instead of looking at the reality that had me so out of sorts. So what I'd learned from that was just stick to your story, girl, that they're living their happily ever life in a gorgeous green pasture in a happy, healthy herd. They're loved and cared for and adored as treasured members of the family, living their dream come true life. And I was doing really well with that until about 2 weeks after they got moved into the indoor stalls with paid caregivers, keeping them warm and dry and well fed. I saw the owner she was just waiting for the pasture to open up. So it seemed like, wow, dream come true, it's happening. But then I saw on Facebook, my local shelter posted a picture of 2 horses and a donkey saying, we're looking for a temporary, these animals have come into our care. We're looking for a temporary foster home, posting them like orphans as if no one loved or cared or fought for them. They were appealing to the community. Can someone help care for these horses? As if they didn't already know there were hundreds of us who've been fighting to do exactly that for over a year. Am I shouting? Could you feel me? I got sideways. I saw that post and I about had a heart attack. I was like, these are my horses. They felt like my horses. They felt like my horses. And now they're being posted as if no one Of course someone cares. So, oh my gosh, I jumped into action. I said to the shelter, hello. I could tell this story without shouting. I commented to the shelter, we know the owner. You've got a case file. They said, yeah, We can't get a hold of her. Oh, I texted her myself, and I paused before I texted her. I was like, do I really want her to know her horses are like AWOL? Or shouldn't she know? The shelter said, we've tried and tried to get hold. We can't get a hold of her. If you can get a hold of her, please do. So I texted her, and she replied to me right back. She's, what? What are you talking about? Da-da-da-da-da. She says, they're at the paid stalls. Da-da-da. She left a credit card for them to be. And when she started explaining, I was like, oh, yeah, this is just her old routine. She's telling more lies. Okay, so I stopped texting her. And then I showed the post to the community. I said, everyone who is dreaming of getting care of these horses, I'm not shouting, everyone who is dreaming of getting custody of these horses, this might be our big chance. I posted it. And it started going, oh my gosh, that post got shared so many times, so fast, because everyone wanted to help. Everyone, including me. And the shelter said, email us. Oh, I promised you the short version of this story. Well, this is me. I'm starting to get a little tangled up. They said, email if you want to foster email. So I emailed and I called. I said, I have room to take them. I know another place. I said, I know of multiple places who could take these horses. It was like 4:30. They close at 5. I was hoping we could get it sorted before so they wouldn't have to spend a night somewhere strange. And they said, just email us. Email your location. So I did it, and I told the rescue group who wanted them and all the other people who wanted them. I said, we just got an email. So we did that. Okay. In the meantime, someone else. Oh, could you feel me? Could you feel my vibration turn? Mm-hmm. Keep it clean, Jeanette. I didn't have clean words when this was happening. A local person posted that these were not the horses that had been supposedly neglected in the pasture in our area. These were not the same horses. These are different horses. And she's getting them. They're going to her place. So we can all relax. Because it's not what you think it is. Oh, these were my horses. These were obviously the same horses. Oh, and people started responding, saying, these are obviously the same horses. And they were neglected, and they were abused. They were not cared for. They weren't fed or... Okay. Oh, we got in it. And I private messaged this girl. Oh, to her credit, she replied to me. I said, why? What? Oh, but guess what? When I messaged her on Facebook, I saw in her profile that said where she worked, and I realized she works with the horse owner's husband. Oh, I got so mad about this because someone had told me, short version, Jeanette, someone had told me that where they work for the government, you need super high security clearance, and something like this could put it at risk if your wife would. This would not be good for her husband. So I thought that might be, some people thought, and I agreed, that might be why someone was lying, like, oh no, it's not those horses. Anyway, I called this girl on it. I called her on it. I said, why would you say it? It clearly is. And I was like, girl, I've been documenting this for a very long time. I have so many photos and videos. I said, here's just one. I said, it's the same horses. What are you talking about? And I said, why would you say they aren't? And she said, I don't know what you're talking about. And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. We went like a little, it was a little head-to-head confrontational. And I called her. I asked her if she was a pathological liar like the horse owner was. I did. Okay, I got sideways. I got so far away from my vision. Happy, healthy horses kicking their heels up in gorgeous green pasture, living their dream come true life. Yeah, I wasn't there. I was sideways. And I felt myself going sideways. I felt it because, well, I could feel all the concern and the angst and the outrage. I had some of that too. I had a lot of those very familiar feelings because it hadn't been that long since I lived there. I knew this neighborhood. So I reminded myself, girlfriend, you know what makes the difference here. I had to do the same routine that I told you about in the last episode, where I remind myself, What do I want? Take yourself there, Jeanette. Drag yourself if you have to. Here's what I want. And I didn't have to, it wasn't that hard because I'd already practiced it some, so it was easier to get to. And I remembered what I wanted and I plugged into the vision of it and I felt the feeling of it. And after I did that, I could see things differently. Oh, perspective shift, huh? I could see things differently. Okay, when I was mad at that girl who said, no, it's not those horses. Plus, I'm getting them, so y'all can all relax because I'm getting them. I was like, I wasn't the only one. Oh, the shelter had to take comments down because people were so mad. They were like, don't you dare give those horses back to the owner's friend that just means the owner's going to get them back. Look, I understand. I get it. They deleted a lot of heated comments about it. And I took myself every time I needed to take myself back to there, kicking up their heels in a gorgeous green pasture, happy, healthy horses, loved and cared for, treasured members of the family, in happy, healthy herd, living their dream come true life. Okay, I kept going back there. And when I did, a different thing happened. When I was mad at that girl who was saying, not the same horses, don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, what are you, a liar? When I had that vibration, she's a liar, she's in cahoots with a terrible person. When I looked her up, I was like, this girl has no business having any horses. She has a teeny place. She doesn't even have room for one horse, let alone more. But when I changed my vibration, when I got to a better place, and then I looked her up, I saw something very different. It turns out, actually, one of the neighbors she's like a really good, she has police connections, and she gave me some information about this person that when I looked that up, I realized, she might be actually really well positioned to take care of these horses. She has more room than I do, even a little bit more room than I do. And she has a barn. And turns out this girl, she's a legit animal lover. I could see all this instead of just seeing her as friends with a hateful person. I could see her and, just saying whatever she needs to try to protect a colleague's reputation. Instead, I saw her. She's an animal lover. She's volunteered for horse rescue groups. She has a big dog. I love big dogs. She seems like she and I have a lot in common. I will say that when things got heated, I did get to a point with her where I apologized for calling her a pathological liar. And I said, you know how when people think our animals are at risk, you know how we get, because I thought, she's saying that she was one. And so I thought she'd understand. Anyway, I think she and I are in a good place. But once I saw with a different vibration, I could see she's perfect for these horses. She could, especially because it seemed that she had one horse and horses like friends. So for her to get more horses, plus she said that Whitney gave her the donkey, so she could not just be taken care of. Maybe she gets to keep Minnie, and it seemed like that could be a good thing. It just seemed like it could be a good thing, and I couldn't see that when I was in the other vibration, using the other perspective on things. So I felt myself getting tangled up about it, and I reminded myself what I wanted. I just took myself back to the vision, feeling the feelings of it. And I reminded myself, that's all I got to do. Keep this vision active. I don't have to slip into what I'd slipped into, the worry, the outrage, the disempowerment, the judgment, the combativeness. All I got to do is stick to my story. Happy, healthy horses living their dream come true life in a gorgeous green pasture, part of a happy, healthy herd. They're loved and cared for, treasured members of the family. That's all I got to do. And when I got a good hold on that, I just saw the whole situation so differently. But isn't it? It wasn't lost on me that I didn't get to do that just once, that I get to keep reminding myself. In fact, now when because people are texting me, like, what's the update on the horses? Who's got them? Where'd they go? What's next? Every time someone says horses, it's like immediate for me now. It's automatic for me to imagine they're kicking up their heels in a gorgeous green pasture, living their dream come true. Like I go there automatically. And I remember I don't have to go double check. I don't have to make sure they're getting it right. I don't have to see it for myself. All I got to do is stick with my vision and universe sorts out the rest. I can trust it. It puts things together way better than I ever could. So I just remind myself, let it do its work, Jeanette. Give it a good instruction and get out of the way. And if it feels good for me to call the shelter and get some more info, I will. If it feels good to reach out to the girl and say, hey, did you get them? Show me some pictures. Hey, can I come over for you? I will if it feels good, but I won't do it out of worry or concern or fear. I'll only do it if it feels inspired after I make sure I've got the good vibrations well in place. Thank goodness for do-overs, right? Or redos. I'll probably get to do this one again and again because it feels high stakes. It feels high contrast. It has been anyway. So it's giving me good practice. But man, I'm getting good. I'm getting better at it. And I can feel myself getting better at committing to seeing and feeling what I want, not just in this area of life, but in all of them. In all of them. It's been really instructive for me. I hope it gives you some inspiration too. So here's to getting better at choosing perspectives that serve us in whatever matters to us in life. Thanks for listening, everyone. Happy manifesting.